We're going to go and deep dive your backside 180 and backside 360s to see where you can improve. I already watched these videos, so I have a pretty good idea of the points we want to hit here. And the good news is you're hitting a lot of the components really, really well already. So the tweaks we need to make are going to be subtle, but basically the problem that we're running into is your rotation with your spine is making it so your weight is just set very over the heels, and that's going to make it so you're rotating over the heels, and your head is sort of like now looking up and over the shoulder. It's going to elongate you, and that's putting us in this position here, where your rotation's being set over that heel edge, your spot's up, your core's elongated, and that's why you're not getting much power. So that's what we're going to want to fix on the backside 360, but we'll go and focus on this back one quick because the changes you need to make here are super slight. So you're doing a really good job keeping your spot up in front of you. That's exactly what we want to be doing. Spot in front at the knuckle, not going and over snapping spin, not over snapping the upper body, and keeping it there and rotating through the spot. But we're seeing that you're going and getting your weight a little bit too set on this foot. You're not really getting control. You're sort of leaning into it. So this is happening for a really subtle reason, actually, and it'll also do with your in run. So your in run right now, super aggressive heel side position. What's not too bad, but look at how early you're on your toe edge, and I want you to pay really close attention to how squared and tall you are on your toe edge. This is going to make it so it's a lot harder to go and do the backside 180 because you don't have any range of motion to snap. So because you're coming in so tall and straight here, as you get on your toe edge and wind up, your arms are winding, but your knees are still straight, your hips are still straight. So even though you're trying to be light on that edge, this is going to cause you to lean, and we're seeing this lean come off the takeoff, and that lean is making it so as you come and take off the jump, your board is rotated this amount right here. And because it's rotated this amount, a couple of things are happening. First, it's shifting your weight over to the toe edge because instead of going and having yourself straight over top, taking off straight, instead with that turn, it's making it so you're sort of leaning. And we can see that down, making it so you're sort of leaning here. It's also making it so you're pre-spinning, so it's going to be a lot harder to keep your spot forward. And we can actually see that your spot is more at the center of the knuckle instead of all the way at the end of the knuckle. And that's coming from a little bit of pre-rotation from the in run. So the thing that really was a game changer for me with my backside 180s was increasing my range of motion I had to use with on my heel side. So instead of going and doing this aggressive short heel side position, I want you to do a couple of things. Instead of leaning into it and trying to use your upper body to counterbalance, instead, I want you to slightly shift your weight to your back foot. Let me actually just go demo this because this is really important and really game changer. So right now, it's hard to get on your heels because you're completely squared. So you sort of need to go like this, and then you're trying to do that initial thing. So you're trying to like get a lot of angle on that front foot, kicking it out. And then when you switch to your toe edge, you're now in the squared position. And if I try to throw the back one, keep it, I only have this much range of motion to play with. But watch what happens here. If I go and pull my hips slightly towards the back foot, it lets me go and open them. And this opening the hips position will let me go and get that heel side pressure. Well, I'm also getting my hips open and my chest open to the jump. So then when I go and shift into toe edge, instead of going and needing to lean this way, instead, I'm in this position and then I just stand up. And as I stand up, it keeps my hips open, my chest open, and now I have all of this range of motion to throw with. So that's going to make it so my board's angled, I'm less likely to pre-spin, and my chest is more open, so I have all this room to snap the spin without being closed off. So I can come and snap this much, keep the head straight, and that'll let you keep your spot at the end of a knuckle instead of here. Because if you're rotating at backside 180, coming a little bit early, your spot's here, it's going to make you unbalanced and it's going to make you lean towards your front foot. So we really want to make sure we're shifted towards that back foot on that heel edge, coming in powerful, getting the hips open, getting the chest open, and then we just want to try stand up into that toe side position. And then as we throw, just that little extension, head forward, continuing it the whole way through. So that subtle change on the in run should honestly make backside 180s feel completely perfect. It might take a little bit to go and get really comfortable with making that change, but it's highly, highly worth going and doing it because right now that heel outside approach is chattery, it's washy, you're losing speed on it, you're not getting your hips open, what's the most important part, and you're relying on leaning the other way, so it's a bigger turn radius, and when you're leaning, it's going to make more dynamics, harder to go and hold an edge. And then this is also, you're doing it too soon, so look at how long you're holding your wound up position. we never want to be holding our wound up position. We want to aim to be getting into it and then snapping pretty much immediately after, just because when you round up, it's a compromised spot, and that's going to make it more likely that you start leaning. So that's what I have to say about the back one. But the real juice is this backside 360. And this one is a little bit tougher because you're not doing anything inherently long. You're getting a good wind up. Your snap timing's really good. You're not rushing with your head. You're not rushing with your body. But like we said, the issues are your upper body's falling behind and your rotation is set too far over the heels, so you're not able to carry it over consistently. I have two clips. We'll go and compare it with this second one. So yeah, I guess we'll go and break it down the whole way on this one because this one's quite a bit better, but it still has the same issues just to a much lesser extent. So first, where everything starts, the in run. You're coming in for the in run and much better heel side position for this one than the backside 180. But I want you to pay attention to how tall you are here. See how you're needing this little, you have this tall posture. When we're tall like this, it's not inherently bad, but it's going to be really hard to get the hips open. My one here isn't the best example. I've changed my form since recording this, but you can see that my hips are pointing towards the left corner, my chest is pointing towards the left corner, and this bend of the legs is going to make it easier to transition to your toe edge. Because when you're riding a heel edge position for this transition, this tall, that means you need to be leaning into it. And if you're leaning one way, you need to lean the other way to rebalance. And then we also want to delay the setup carve. See how you're getting to your toe edge as I'm still transitioning off of my heel edge? This is problematic because now you're on your toe edge going through the spoon of the jump. The spoon of the jump has the highest kick area, so if we're in a compromised position while going through it, it's going to try and buck us. So because you're fully wound up this early, you're going to start slowly crunching. So now you're in max wound up position before the transition even starts going upwards. So this position we'd only really want to be in at the last possible second. I also think that you're compensating and winding up your upper body too much because your hips aren't opening. So your arm is coming up all the way across and getting tucked in tight here. That's actually not ideal because if you wind up your upper body too much, it's going to extend you and it's going to shift your weight over to your front foot. So I think you really want to focus on trying to get those hips open with that technique I was talking about before on the in run so that way when you stand up, it can feel more natural. Besides that, we want to delay it. Like look at me on the right here. I'm still winding up, winding up, winding up, winding up, all the way to here. So you've been holding this wound up position this whole time, where I'm just hitting it for the first time now. This makes balancing so much easier. And we can see if we watch you closely here, you hit your max wound up position right here. And now watch how your upper body starts to slowly lean forward. And now you're in this angle where your upper body's super leaned forward. You're trying to fight and pull it with the hips, but you're not sort of connected. And we can see it sort of has this cross section where I'm a much more neutral, calm, natural position. An important thing to remember with a backside 360 is it's completely fine to have this hinge in the upper body, hips back, and it's actually ideal. A backside 360, we don't really need much snap off the lip because we only need to get 180 degrees of power and then we can utilize counter rotation. So I think you're thinking about throwing this trick a little bit too hard. You're trying to snap it and pull it around hard, but really where the power comes in is right here. See how I'm leaving off in a neutral position and our positions are pretty similar. The big difference is my hips are back and my upper body's forward, where you're completely straight and vertical over top of your snowboard. Because of this, it's making it so your room for throwing is going to be a lot more limited. Because I have my weight more actively artificially set over my toe edge with having this hinge in my hips and upper body forward, I now have so much range of motion to go and carry my momentum through the lip. So see how I'm able to pull my back arm, and as I pull my back arm, I'm not losing this bend in my upper body. But as you try to go and lead your rotation, it's going and elongating you and making you taller and making it so as you go and spot, your chin's actually getting tall and looking towards your shoulder. What this does is the same principles. It goes and elongates you, makes it so you start shifting and tilting towards that back arm. And this is all making it so your axis rotation is over that heel edge. That isn't ideal because we want to be landing towards our toe edge, weight set over toe edge the whole way. And that's why when you're using counter rotation here, you're getting twisted, you're landing tail heavy, and you just don't have the micro control. So what can we do to fix this? First things first, that in run change is going to help you so much. Delaying your windup, getting more range of motion of the hips is just going to make snapping a million times easier. But the next part is, and what you can train, is this part in the air right here. Instead of going and trying to pull with your head right away, instead think about leading with your body. How a backside 360 works is as you're snapping it, your head's here, so chest open, do, head's here. But as soon as our shoulders get squared and start closing, our shoulders take our head along for the ride all the way around. Right now, what's happening is you're snapping, really patient, then you're whipping your head. And as you go and whip your head, it goes and elongates you, putting you towards that heel edge. And if we try to lead towards our heel edge, we're now going to be off kilter and all out of whack. But if we keep ourselves a little bit more forward, focus less on trying to extend and snap powerfully like this, instead just getting a slow snap, hitting that neutral position. Now our shoulders take our head along for the ride. We'll be leading off in this position right here. Now we wait for our tail to snap off, and we'll be in this position right here, neutral position, upper body forward, shoulders squared. And from here, we take our back arm and we just pull it around. Once we get it to here, we can either keep pulling it, tighten the core to bring it around, or if we need to speed it up, snap, bring it together here. We can pull here, and then we can utilize counter rotation, all with a rotation still set over the balls of our feet. So we want to go and make it so your in run goes and minimizes uh, how late it is, how long you need to stay on the edge, and make sure that we have more range of motion to work with the hips. And then we want to make sure that as we're snapping and we leave the lip, we're keeping our head connected with our shoulders. We're keeping that little bit of hinge in the hips. So that way we can pull through with our upper body. I'd recommend practicing that a little bit at home because it really helps. And other than that, it's looking really fantastic. The fact that you're getting this good of backside 360s, even with this little bit of head positioning mistake and this setup carve, is a really good sign. So if you go and make these tweaks, it should make it so you have a much more powerful platform, and that will make it so you can start flowing a lot more and it'll just feel a lot better. Last one we're looking at here, you're snapping up, see how your head's looking forward, not following the shoulders, and then you're trying to pull the head around. And because you're trying to move the head independently to the shoulders, that's where we're getting this lots of funk. So if your head was connected to your shoulders here, and you were able to just pull it through, it would have felt a lot better instead of moving on so many different up and down axes of rotation. So yeah, that's the thoughts. Let me know what you think about them. And if you have any questions, you can always just let me know.